will straight away go to the presentation that I will be sharing with our esteemed attendees today in explaining how Cyprus has at first managed to contain the pandemic quite successfully. And today being in a leading position, if I may use the term, since we are already in the process of reopening our borders to the world. And hopefully I express my solidarity and best wishes to every country to get to this point soon, because meeting up virtually is definitely a great experience, an experience that has led us to step into new and I would say unsubscribed ways of conducting business with much partners. But to a greater extent, what we all expect soon is to meet each other and shake hands and be in a position to elaborate on our business collaborations. Well, now, in regards to what I'm going to be presenting today is how Cyprus has managed to contain the pandemic as mostly from the perspective of the health issue, but as well as how the government has managed to maintain competitive the economy and keep it rolling. I will definitely expand and give a good insight in regards to how the two very lucrative Cyprus investment migration programs are set to become one of the major contributors to the economy and the real estate sector, and certainly how Aristo Developers has set itself to become a pioneering force in the real estate industry of 4 decades, and give you an insight to our product portfolio, but as well as how this product portfolio can be essentially become a very good investment vehicle to be aligned with the two immigration schemes. Although I do know well that Cyprus is quite an established destination for most Russians and CIS countries, I will give a brief introduction in regards to where Cyprus stands geographically, at a very important position, being the crossroad of 3 continents. You can see that we have Europe, North and West, and of course Russia. We have on the East Asia, Middle East and Africa on the south, and basically Cyprus, it is indeed a very important geographic hub for many reasons, as we will see down the presentation I will be sharing today. The country is ruled on a presidential democracy. It's a relatively small island, bearing in mind that it only occupies an area of about 9,200 square kilometers, since it's still the 3rd largest island in the Mediterranean. A country which has a population of about 1.1 million people, and it is a full EU member state country since the year of 2004, and also has Eurozone as an official currency since the year of 2008. Now, Cyprus is a bespoke destination for many reasons and an excellent standard of living. First of all, Cyprus has managed to become over the years one of the established safe destinations when it comes in relocating, and this has numerous times been ranked as within the top 10 destinations, with the most recent one being of Knight Frank back in 2018, ranking the country basically as one of the top 5 destinations. It's one of the countries that still criminality is kept at very low level. It's one of the countries that people can maintain trust between them. Excellent climatic conditions considering the geographic location, which give us the opportunity to enjoy all 4 seasons every year and more than 300 days of sunshine around the year, and very easy to commute around, since within an hour and a half you can drive to every destination across the island. It is also an island which is very well known for its beautiful blue flag awarded beaches. Basically, recently some statistics in Europe have basically ranked Cyprus again to be the country that enjoys the cleanest bathing waters after Luxembourg within Europe. But of course, as you are all well aware, Luxembourg does not have any coastline. It's just lakes and rivers. Therefore, within Europe, we have the cleanest bathing sea waters. Excellent infrastructure, modern infrastructure, highways, telecommunications, excellent experience in shopping, a state-of-the-art, and a plethora of restaurants and thematic parks. One of the good things of Cyprus being a country that has been colonized by the British as well up to the early 1960s is that English is an official business language. It's not just a language of communication, but which is anyway widely spoken. More or less everybody speaks and can fluently communicate in English in Cyprus, but it is also an official business language. Russian is also quite well widely spoken in Cyprus, considering the fact that one of the largest communities of non-locals living on the island. They are Russians. More than 40,000 Russian native people live permanently on the island. Education is also one of the strong points of the country, since we have one of the highest tertiary education rates all over Europe, which is close to 55% compared to the high average of Europe, as you can see on the slide I'm sharing now, which is close to 40%. What has been always, what the island has been always been very well known about, it was about its excellent healthcare facilities and conditions for the inhabitants, but also the visitors. And this has been further reinforced over the year. And since last month, essentially, we have moved into the second phase of the national healthcare system, where people can enjoy at minimum or almost no cost healthcare facilities, hospitalization, and even free medication. This is a very excellent achievement of the government over the last couple of years. It's a long time scheduling and program that came into implementation very successfully over the last couple of years, and it seems that it's working perfectly. Similar national healthcare systems, for your information and just to associate of what Cyprus has to offer on that, are systems like the Canadian one and the British one. Furthermore, Cyprus, it is very well known of its hospitality, being an island in the crossroad of 3 continents in Europe. And over the millenniums, I mean, many civilizations have left their spot on the island, and therefore part of our DNA is hospitality. We are very well accustomed to any non-local who chooses to visit or get established here on the island. Very clean and also excellent countryside to visit as well. Now, stepping into the second part of my presentation, which is basically the success of Cyprus in containing the pandemic. All of us, every nation, every country, every population, every investor had faced the cascading negative effects of the COVID pandemic already for about 3 to 6 months, depending on which geographic location your origin is or your operations are. Well, Cyprus unavoidably could not be an exception to this bad experience and unprecedented situation we are all facing. However, I have to give the credit to my government and the people of Cyprus for coming up with a proactive but also a drastic plan, which has essentially successfully managed to contain the pandemic to the extent that the loss of human life have been kept in the very absolute minimum levels. We are one of the countries that has performed the most tests in terms of tracing negative cases of COVID that have been found on the island, and at the same time maintain the healthcare system of the country at very competitive levels. Without any problems, we have managed to only have not exactly 18 people passing away as a final cause of death, the COVID-19 virus. Meanwhile, the other great success, which has been the second pillar that has essentially founded and reinforced the successful course of Cyprus during the pandemic, because we can now safely speak that we are in the post-pandemic era, is the fact that the government has from the very beginning announced substantial economic support to all the business, which has led the economy to remain active and keep it rolling. Let me just use the term, but at the same time has managed to stop or prevent better unemployment by subsidizing across the board all the sectors of the economy. And as a second package, this is some fresh news that I'm sharing today. Even today that the borders have opened, still the government is subsidizing in respect to the sector that each business is found from 60 and even up to 100% the salaries of the employees that are not yet, that they have been basically in deployment because of the slowdown of every economy. Therefore, as you can understand, has in that way has managed to maintain the liquidity and the spending, the purchasing power of each consumer into the market in high levels, which that means in conjunction to the very pioneering measures that were offered by the banking sector as well, which has been strongly recapitalized after the latest Europe and global economic crisis that followed back in 2013. Essentially, every loan owner here in Cyprus had the privilege to sustain their installment payments and up to January 1st, 2021. So for about a period of 9 months, the people that they have foreseen, regardless to their economic situation currently in the market, they had the opportunity to freeze their loans without paying the installments up to early next year. Therefore, you can understand that this has been a great input, a positive input in sustaining, in well performance, the banking sector as well. So all those elements together have managed to rank Cyprus based to holiday 2020 survey in the fifth safest as the fifth safest destination globally, and this is only behind Luxembourg, Norway, Singapore, and Switzerland. So you can understand that Cyprus is not by incident that it is found in this pleasant position today. Now, moving gradually into why Cyprus is an attractive destination, investment destination in Europe, and considering the fact that tertiary sector is one of the most important pillars and contributors to the GDP of the country. Financial and services sector, and especially taxation, is undeniably one of the great benefits that the economy of Cyprus has to offer, with a corporate tax which is basically the lowest one in Europe, along with Ireland, and that being down to 12.5%, in conjunction with the fact that the non-domicile tax residency to individuals can offer zero interest on income coming from dividends or interest or special defense and contribution tax, along with the rental income, which is taxable at the very normal and very low rates compared to the rest of the European countries. It is making Cyprus being even more competitive to this extent. As I have already mentioned, Cyprus' economy is driven by the services sector, which essentially means is based on the tertiary sector, as you can see on the slide I'm sharing, which is based on facts shared by the Cyprus Statistical Service. It is about 89% contribution to the overall GDP of the country every year. With that being one of the major, partially one of the major contributors to this tertiary sector, as real estate and construction, which is over the years, for the past 20 years or so, occupying a percentage which is close to 15 to 20% annually. So you can understand getting into the real estate sector to share some more essential information, since the Cyprus Investment Program, the Naturalization by Exemption Program, is basically directly involved with the sector, why it is a stable and quite safe investment. Furthermore, we can see that the real estate sector in Cyprus is quite thriving as well. And this is not just because of the two very lucrative immigration schemes, which definitely have supported and have further helped the sector to be growing over the years. But most importantly, you can see that on a graph that I'm sharing with you, which is again based on facts shared by Cyprus Statistical Service, over a period of about 10 years, from 2010 to 2019 and moving into 2020 as well, more or less on the same pace, we can see that the market has been very stable to the extent that, other than 2013, which was the very bottom rock level of the real estate sector due to the global economic cycle, which has its cascading effect into Europe as well. Other than that, the real estate sector has been always following a very stable course in terms of capital appreciation, which is varying between 7 to 10% annually. It might not be the highest in the world, but on the other hand, it is very safe, considering the fact that if you do things wisely in Cyprus, you shouldn't be expecting to have any negative surprises in terms of your investment performance. Most importantly, we can see that since 2013 and thereafter, Total property sales grew more than 175%, with property sales to foreigners growing by 340%, and this is doubling about every year. That has a greater meaning, which radiates on the resilience of the market, but as well as the confidence of foreign investors, foreign direct investment better generally, that the Cyprus economy has managed to regain is shine again on this element. Of course, Cyprus is a small economy, and due to its small size, has always been more agile and more flexible in terms of recovering after every crisis or every turbulence that comes as an element from the foreign market, since Cyprus depends on that. This is why, again, all the predictions from the IMF and the European Union show that Cyprus, it is one of the countries which essentially will be not that much affected because of the COVID situation. And if we bear in mind that this is expected to be a U-shaped sort of recession, which means that it will rebound quite quickly, all the projections show that by the first quarter of 2021 and onwards, Cyprus will come back into a growth in its GDP at a rate of about 6% annually. Now, stepping directly into the real estate market, the major cities of the island basically is Paphos, which is on the west coast, Limassol, which is on the southern part of the island, and Nicosia, which is the capital, more or less in the mainland of the island, of the country. As we can see, based on these two graphs that I'm sharing, which are facts deriving from the Cyprus Land Registry Department, which is open to anyone anyway. Facts I'm sharing, Cyprus is quite transparent economy. You can go online and search it yourself as well. We can see that in terms of Cyprus total property sales back in 2019, which has been a record year after 10 years again, we can see that Paphos and Limassol are dominating the market. These two cities together, they contribute about 60%, they occupy better 60% of the overall market annually. And this is where most of our flagship projects as an organization anyway, they have been developed over the last 4 decades. Now, when it comes to the total property sales by foreigners, and that means by non-locals, we can see that in this scenario, Paphos dominates the market with a percentage equal to 42%. And this is one of the reasons why basically most of Russian and CIS clients, which anyway they know Cyprus very well and they have been investing here for many years, they always have basically Limassol and Paphos ticks their list when it comes to real estate investments. Now, a few words about the two immigration schemes, the two lucrative immigration schemes that the Cyprus government has been offering with great success over the last, mostly over the last 5 years. First of all, dear Zoriga, and as you have already mentioned, I will explain why this is the best, or they are the best programs. Well, in my own view, being one of the property developers that has to deal with a number of markets, it is not what is the best, it is what suits best the investors or our partners. However, I will share your view, or at least your statement, and elaborate on the fact that indeed Cyprus two immigration schemes are considered to be as quite lucrative, transparent, but very successful as well. Considering the fact that, and mostly, the Cyprus investment program, which leads to naturalization by exception, it is a program which is run with a success ratio of about 99%. This is not because it's the easiest program to achieve, but because it has been set up and reformed under various conditions and circumstances so as to reach a level which is very understandable and very straightforward and clear from the very beginning for every investor, whether they can succeed in proceeding with the program or not. Now, basically, on the table, on the slide better, I'm projecting now on your screens, you can see that Cyprus is perhaps the only EU state member country which is offering two parallel programs. The citizenship program, which makes you, turns you into an EU citizenship under certain conditions and requirements, and the permanent residency program, which is basically the only permanent residency program from the very beginning. Okay. Now we can see that both of the programs, they're quite speedy in terms of processing the application for the investment citizenship program. It takes about 8 to 12 months from the time of submission to reach an approval stage, and respectively for the residency program, we can see that maximum within 90 days a family can be approved. It is a program which requires quite significant investment when it considers real estate for the citizenship, which is 2 million euros into real estate, out of which 500,000 euros should be your home residence, an investment that you have to hold for a lifetime, and a further investment of 1.5 million euros into a single or a portfolio of properties, always plus VAT, which essentially can be disposed. Basically, the program has a clear exit strategy from the very beginning, 5 years later from the time of naturalization or of approval, more simply. Meanwhile, bear in mind that the investment portfolio of the Cyprus investment program enables investors to utilize their investment by generating income. Although it's a passive investment to this extent when it is related to property, still investors can enjoy quite stable IRR rental incomes from their real estate investments in Cyprus. Respectively, the permanent residency program requires an investment as low as 300,000 euros into a single unit or 2 units, whereas one of the 2 units could be a small commercial unit up to 90 square meters, an office or a small shop as well. However, a prerequisite is that for the entire time that you wish to maintain your lifetime from the beginning residency, you have to maintain an investment at least into real estate, of course, at least as equal to 300,000 euros for lifetime. Both of the programs cover the whole families, which mean for the passport program, the major applicants, which usually is the mother and father, children dependent up to the age of 28, and even the third generation, which are the parents of the main applicants, with a further investment of 500,000 euros into real estate, which corresponds to the main residence of the third generation, the grandfather and the grandmother. And in the case of the PR, the entire family can be granted with the residency once approved, with no any further investment or additional donations or whatsoever. Cyprus, it is one of the countries in Europe that enables dual or malleable citizenship, as long as, of course, you hold and maintain your other citizenship status legitimately. Both of the programs are valid for lifetime. It means that they are not subject to be reviewed and renewed under a period of time or annually. And especially the Cyprus program, when it comes to the passport scheme, with no room of doubt, it is one of the most competitive ones, considering the fact that the Cyprus passport currently is considered as one of the top 15 in the world. Basically, once you get the citizenship, the nationality, it is anyway by default, by principle, inherited to the entire of the bloodline. Needless to mention that you can reside, move, trade, study, and enjoy the benefits in any EU country, but at the same time, you can freely travel to 174 countries globally, including countries such as Australia and Canada. Now, I don't know if you want to ask any questions about the programs, or we can leave this at the end of my presentation.
Leave it until the end.
Very good. Then moving into an introduction about our organization, Aristo Developers, which is one of the leading and largest real estate developers in the country of Cyprus for the past 4 decades, with a proud presence in the real estate sector mostly. The organization has managed so far to develop and deliver more than 265 projects island-wide. We are a developer that maintains by far the most diverse portfolio of projects and investment options, with more than 40 projects currently into the market, ranging from coastal developments, luxury beachfront developments, integrated golf resorts, condominiums, city apartments, and many more. But as well as we are one of the few certified as A-class construction companies. That means that for our capacity, we can get engaged and develop any sort of project from little residential units up to ports and infrastructure. We have a truly global network that sums 1,500 partners across the globe. And we're one of we are proud to mention that we are one of the organizations that has so far in its portfolio investors from 40 different nationalities. This is a very strong justification as well that and a good specimen from a big developer that maintains and has one of the largest share markets in the international foreign direct investment coming into the real estate sector, proving that Cyprus has a very wide spectrum when it comes to foreign direct investment. You can see that more than 40 nationalities have already invested over the years with Aristo Developers. We are also one of the pioneering forces in the creation of landmark developments, as I will elaborate in a while. But before we do so, let me just explain why we are considered to be a group that has a firm presence overseas. Our head offices are located here in Paphos, and we have offices across the island in the major cities, in Nicosia, Limassol, in one of our integrated golf resorts, Venus Rock, and Polis area, which is the western coast of the island. We have offices in Greece, Athens, a destination that we have implemented very successfully so far, a number of quite big number of projects as well. However, over the last 5 years, the business has been expanding so well here in Cyprus that we had to basically focus into our developments that there are more than 40, as I have mentioned already, here in Cyprus. We have offices in Russia, Moscow. We have been one of the first developers basically from Cyprus that had established a real operation in Russia and CIS countries with an office in Moscow, as I have already said, with a very professional and dedicated team that it is always at the disposal of our big number of existing clientele, valued partners and associates, and of course, any new prospective clients. We maintain a head office in Southeast Asia based in Ho Chi Minh, and we run parallel operations with affiliated offices and partners in Singapore and Cambodia as well. 3 established and fully operational representative offices in China, Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shanghai for 7 years already. And the latest, Dubai is not the latest, sorry, an office in Dubai, which is also an economic hub and also a hub for foreign direct investment coming to Cyprus from the UAE region and the Middle East. And our latest operation, which has been established in Cairo, and it is running with quite great success for a couple of years already. One of the elements that distinguishes Aristo is also the fact that we maintain the entire line of operation or production, if you prefer, in-house. We are an operation that has its own purchasing department, its own accounting and finance department, definitely a very wide range of customer service and after-sales support. And it is one of the elements, and I give all the credit to my colleagues and teams dealing with this matter, which has essentially managed to maintain excellent relationship for 4 decades with all of our valued clienteles. Being a group that has served more than 40 different ethnicities, you understand that maintaining the investments of those people at excellent physical conditions, but as well as in well-performing investment parameters, it is the major thing that every foreign investor will look investing in an overseas destination. Sales and marketing departments in a number of countries across the globe and in every continent, as I have already shared with you. A very experienced and dedicated IT and digital marketing department, which is at the disposal of every partner to support them in joining forces and expanding our mutually beneficial business online, which is something that following the COVID developments we all need to adapt to. A human resource department, in-house technical department, and of course our health and safety department. In a nutshell, please consider us and take Aristo as a one-stop shop, whether you are a prospective client, an already valued client, you know that already, but as well as a potential partner. Aristo Developers is a pioneering force in the creation of landmark developments. And basically, we have been one of the groups that not just actively enriches its product portfolio every single year, whether there is a turbulence in the economy or not, we still have new additions in our portfolio. But in addition, we are one of the groups that constantly and actively contributes to the growth of the economy of the country as well. We are the pioneering force in the creation of integrated golf resorts for already 25 years. A parallel line of operation is the retail, which is deeply rooted in our strategy as well, since we are the owners, one of the largest shopping malls. Education, since we run for more than 30 years, academic institutions. Venus Rock is one of those large-scale developments. Essentially, it's the largest golf course and resort in the Eastern Mediterranean region, not just Cyprus. And also one of the projects that counts one of the biggest residential communities, more than 700 villas already delivered within project, and a project which is basically the only golf resort in Cyprus which has direct access to an 800 to a frontage that stretches about 800 meters along the coast. One of our latest large-scale developments, a state-of-the-art project, which has been designed by bringing together a number of global collaborators for master planning, but also licensing this new integrated golf resort, which is expected to be the first one in the region of Limassol. All four operating golf courses so far in Cyprus are in the region and city of Paphos. This is expected to be one of the first ones in the city, the vibrant city of Limassol and the most cosmopolitan city of Cyprus. The project will occupy an area of about 1.7 square kilometers. It's a project which is 100% owned by Aristo Developers and brings together 5 different elements: a luxury 5-star boutique hotel, about 1,000 residential units, 700 residential detached villas of different types, and about 300 units in unified developments, compositing by smaller units such as apartments and townhouses, a retail center, and of course an 18-hole championship golf course. At this stage, allow me to elaborate a little bit more on this large-scale development and investment proposal, which is firmly aligned with the Cyprus investment program as well. KPMG and Cyproman have designed a special investment vehicle, which essentially enables investors to invest into this project with a pre-agreed exit strategy at year 6 from the year of investing, which essentially is not just paying back the investment capital, but has a pre-arranged return on investment, which is safeguarded in the entire mechanism that has been set up, and it is equal to 15% ROI in absolute number. Essentially, investors have to invest 2 million euros into redeemable shares in this project, which is in the form of an equity participation project, whereas they know from the very beginning that at year 6 they will be paid back at 2.3 million euros for their investment and still maintain the status of the citizenship they have obtained by only maintaining a home residence of a value of 500,000 euros plus VAT. I'm at the disposal of each one of you that would be interested to answer any questions during the Q&A session, or contact me personally to give you more information about this very interesting development. Our organization has been quite heavily involved with the academic industry as well in Cyprus, which is a very promising industry in Cyprus as well. We own and run one of the top international schools in the country for the past 30 years, the International School of Paphos, an academic institution which basically offers education from pre-primary level up to high school level. Total area about 35,000 square meters, state-of-the-art, top-notch facilities such as laboratories, libraries, art rooms, music rooms, drama and sports are only a few elements of the school. And very amazingly, this school hosts more than 40 different nationalities. So you can also understand the great diversity of the school rosters. We have been also, again, pioneers in the educational sector by launching earlier this year the first dormitory, the first boarding school in the country, which can accept children of the age of 13 years and above at this stage. And our aim is to grow the boarding school as well, and also in the next few years to accept students of younger ages as well. You can understand how important that this new facility that Aristo Developers through his school can offer, considering the fact that many families and very investors choose Cyprus as a hub where they either partially live here or the mother and father will travel backward and forward, and the need of keeping their children into a high caliber and high level educational boarding house, it is a must, and this is a facility that we can offer to all our esteemed clients. Kings Avenue Mall has been it is one of the top 3 shopping malls in the country. Not only we have been the contractors of this large-scale development, but we are also one of the major shareholders of the operation of Kings Avenue Mall, one of the most successful shopping malls in the country. Under its roof, more than 121 shops within areas of about 105,000 square meters, and more than 230 international brands at the disposal of all shoppers. Now, our product portfolio, as I have already mentioned, it is by far the most diverse one. More than 40 projects from residential apartments for holiday purposes or for locals which they choose to live here on the island, starting from 120,000 euros up to a custom-built villa that can be a few million euros, can certainly qualify Aristo as the not just as excuse me, that's a live webinar. I had a call that I have to reject. Says Aristo to be not just one of the most transparent and most competitive price-wise property developers, but as well as the developer that has to offer the most options to any potential investor or any partner that wishes to promote safe and well-performing investments to their value clientele. Thank you very much for having the patience to watch my presentation. I hope it was constructive. And dear Zoriga, I remain at your disposal and to our esteemed audience disposal to take any questions.
Dear Tasos, thank you. Yes, we have received lots of questions. On some of them, I believe they managed to find the answer in your presentation. I will ask you. So we have a question here. What do you think about the prices of the real estate towards this situation that we have with COVID? Do you think that the prices will maybe go a bit down, or how do you?
Well, there is at the moment looking into different markets and reviewing different positions of investors of people that they are in a position to judge the market. There is a little bit of disagreement what the effect will be. In the case of Cyprus, I would quite comfortably state that what has changed for the moment, because anyway, as I have already mentioned, and this is a very important element, the Cyprus market is very transparent. The RICS index, which is basically dispatched by the Central Bank of Cyprus on a quarter basis, by fact can say so far that what has dropped in the real estate market of Cyprus is the demand and not the price. someone could very easily question, okay, if the demand is dropping, then you're not expecting any prices to drop. Well, foreign direct investment, the vivacity, and especially the interest for the two immigration schemes that are directly related to real estate investment in Cyprus continue to remain at very high levels. So taking into account that the country has managed to almost open its border to most of the EU countries, and considering the fact that we maintain on the same course with the pandemic, the country opens to the rest of the world, I'm more than certain that the investments will come back to the Cyprus market even more quickly of what it has been initially expected. Therefore, straightforward answering your question, I don't expect any drop in the prices of Cyprus, especially luxury real estate investments, considering the fact that the interest is
high.
Because many of those families around the world that they have the capacity and economic flexibility to invest overseas, they are already considering and they are looking for safe destinations within Europe that they can set up a base for their business, expand into Europe, but at the same time maintain an option, a plan B if you prefer, for their families overseas.
Clear. So you said that Cyprus opened the borders?
Yeah.
Yes. To the EU countries only, or there is a possibility for non-EU to?
Well, actually, within the next few days, and considering the fact that we remain on maiden new cases of confirmed COVID cases, and the only ones that they are confirmed, I mean, a number of 2 or 3 new cases is from people they are repatriated back to Cyprus. They go straight into a self-quarantine. First of all, we have managed to have we will have the instant test at the airport. So by the time you get there,
you're tested. Yeah.
That you're infected, you will be isolated from the rest of the people before exiting the airport. So since June 9th, we are open to Group A, which is countries like Greece, Switzerland, and generally countries that are under Group A, and we are moving into Group B, which basically will be soon receiving tourists and visitors from other countries as well by the middle of July and onwards.
Okay. I was asking that because usually your clients, from my experience, as I know, is non-EU residents. So we need to leave non-EU residents to enter.
Just, but it is a fact that over the last not mentioning the Russians, which is a very established market already for Cyprus, over the last 5 years, we have gained the interest of many non-EU investors and holidaymakers to come to Cyprus as well.
Clear, of course. So we had here an interesting question. Archal Aurora is asking, will residence program lead to citizenship post 5 to 6 years stay in Cyprus?
Well, within the constitution of Cyprus, someone who is a resident or stays here on the island, considering that for 5 years you have a presence of 183 calendar days within the island, and during the last year of your stay here, for the entire year, you are in the country, within the country. That means that you don't fly out. You are eligible to submit an application for naturalization by exception without further investment. However, this is to the discretion of the Council of Ministers to decide for the lack of such an application.